game. We also have on top board Jordan van Foreest against Magnus Carlsen. Now, these two famously work together. Jordan was a helper in the 2021 match against Jan Nepomniachtchi.
And there is the handshake. And we have action here. Lushanglai against Nodirbek Abzatova-Petrov.
And the big question, though, as I want to put to you, is who should we follow? We have some big matches.
Well, actually, Arjun against Alireza would be my kind of pick, but Jordan against Magnus also amazing, and every pairing is crazy. Veslisov against Pragnanda on board 4, but let's go with Arjun and Alireza for the moment.
Okay.
And it is wow! We're gonna see.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna see an incredibly sharp Moscow variation. It cannot get sharper than this.
Yeah, the players will not be winging this one. That's one thing for sure. You don't go into these treacherous waters without knowing exactly where to step. And he's taken the pawn on c4.
Black is up a pawn, but look at the structure. Black thinks my structure is perfectly fine. I can manage this position, but there is no natural cohesion to this one as you see pawns scattered all around the chessboard. What a position to play. Very exciting one. This kind of position that got played back in the 90s very frequently.
And in the middle of 2000s, yeah, with all the Vishy Anand was very much involved, Vladimir Kramnik, Topalov, Boris Gelfand, all the world elite.
Yeah.
Aronyan also very big specialist. I started myself playing it with both colors as well. And you normally think like I'm a positional player, but I was so fascinated by this opening.
And the old trend used to be to play very quick e4, e5. And then you'd have these crazy lines, you know, where black would be castling on the queen side. It feels slightly more calmer, but still, when the black pawn structure, although advanced, is slightly compromised, you know, black is the one that has to be very careful.
There was a famous queen sack in Ivanchuk versus Shirov, where Ivanchuk put his queen on.
That was in the Botvinnik.
G7,
yes.
winning in that line. But with 8-6 on the board early and kicking his bishop back quickly.
I was there in Vaikanze playing the tournament. I saw the moment when Ivanchuk played queen g7. It was crazy.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That
history in the making.
Yes, I wasn't far away, though, when we found out about that move. That one resonated for a long time. Since then, it's turned out to be equal. But at the moment we saw it, it was like the genius from the gods.
Yes, it was. So what happened here after CBA-B? Something happened. Bishop moved to G7, that's for sure. I see this bishop there.
And now I've got in my...
And Arjun
that the white goes queen to c1. I've got in my database. Castles is another option. Queen to d3.
This queen c1, queen e3 is a very traditional kind of maneuver. And now that you mentioned it, it comes back to me. Let's see Arjun. He castles. Okay, it's the most natural move.
And for Alireza, is he doing like normal Slav things where you go a6, c5? But he also castles as well.
He also castles, yeah. And bishop takes g4. Arjun grabs the pawn back. So now you have material equality, but a very unbalanced kind of position. Yeah, black will be looking forward to make this c6, c5 break happen at any moment. There are so many questions also. Yeah, knight g4. Do you take this bishop? After taking, which actually shocks me completely, because white cannot take bishop g7 due to queen takes h4, but queen takes g4, what is happening?
Yu Young-yi versus Vasyl Graf, already a draw in the book. So sometimes the players managing which round they take that draw to get that rest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long event. You know, in the Open, it will be 19 rounds of Blitz, and it is the kind of chess that really affects the nerves. So I can understand why some players are like, okay, here I'm going to take it easy. Here I'm actually going to fight. Well, there's also a big threat on the board, right? Bishop to d6 coming. That would be looking at the queen and the rook. So... queen is, of course,
I don't like queen f7. We talked about it that black will need to get c6, c5 in. Bishop d6, exactly. If white sets up a blockade and the black bishop, the light squared black bishop gets stuck on b7, that will be horrible news. Rook g8, queen f3. If white gets b4, bishop c5 cement, then it's horrible for black. clock situation also. I feel like Arjun is always controlling the clock very nicely. He's always a little bit ahead of his opponent.
He's fast. He sees everything.
Yes.
Also, you know, that was...
And c5 break, yes.
Yeah.
I cannot allow that my opponent blocks it. Sacrifice, sacrifice, I don't care. I close my eyes, I have to play it. Brilliant decision by Alireza.
Yeah.
And now f5. Guess who has the only light square bishop on the board? The bishop on b7. So yes, you can have a pawn, but I now have two bishops. Let's open up the game and put pressure on the light squares, especially with your pawn on g2 around your king. You're going to have to probably play g3 if this diagonal breaks open, but it's going to give me even more air on the diagonal. Fantastic original play by Alireza. Maybe better for white, but certainly black
Well,
is fighting.
wait a second. Queen f4, bishop f6. The g file is opening up. Rook g4 is coming.
Exactly, and this
Be
is the pressure we're
careful,
talking about. G2 sitting back there. Is Alireza making a case that this pawn sack is good? And the engine says, yeah, perfectly fine for black, down a pawn for sure, but equal with compensation. And that f3 move to try to blunt the effect of the bishop on that long diagonal.
Yes, great reaction by Arjun also, making sure that, yes, my opponent played brilliantly, got counterplay, but let's not get into trouble. And he has more time on the clock. He is clearly up on the clock. a6, e5. Alireza let e5 happen. Wait a second. This is now again turning into white's favor.
Why?
d5, rook c8, b4 on the board.
Yeah, the bishop is cemented there on c5, and d5 a very classy move. You know, the whole idea is just to block out the light squares.
Alireza is inviting d6, play d6, but then my bishop will go back to d8 and my bishop on b7 will come to life.
And
no, thank you, rook e1, bringing the piece into the game.
And also overprotecting the e-pawn. Queen slides over. Well, Alireza insists.
Well, now
says,
knight e4, knight e4. What about knight e4? It's hanging in the air, this knight e4 move, because there is a pin. If that knight joins the battle, who knows?
Knight f6 won't be a threat, though,
Yes,
because the
not
queen
yet.
takes knight.
well, then
Yeah.
you
So-
can take the pawn.
So
with the
maybe
bishop.
d6 first. Yeah, okay, that's why he's so excited. Also thinking about it. Queen
He's moved
d4
his
first.
queen away. But now knight e4 is no longer a move.
No longer a threat, yeah, but knight e4 was unfortunately not
Look at the
working.
clock.
Down to 15 seconds for Alireza. What a game it is.
By the way, Van Forest is up a pawn against Magnus with 1 minute plus on the clock. Magnus with only 8 seconds in his
Wow.
game.
Well, here also both players down to 10 seconds.
And some queen trade appearing. And now for Arjun, he just has to.
And
you see
just
the
when he was winning,
hesitation.
sorry to interrupt, just when he was winning, Van Forest blundered the pawn back and they agreed to a draw. Magnus saved that game.
But wait a second, what about here? Knight takes d5. It looks like white is much better. Rook e5.
Attacking
Controlling the
pawns.
board. 5 seconds, 4 seconds for Alireza.
2, 1, made with 1 second on the clock.
Yeah, and attacking the rook. Has
f4,
to
bishop
move.
d5. Rook takes f5.
He needs to be able to remove that e6 pawn. And
But now he's solid. Now he should hold the draw.
Well,
He should hold the
that's a
draw. now.
scary pawn on e6.
interesting move there.
Rook
Some
retreat.
a5, yeah, blowing
Nice
up the
move
position.
at the moment.
Yeah, undermining the bishop.
Give me that. And now
You have to
looks
step
like you have
back
to take
with the bishop. Take
no?
the pawn.
In fact, now Arjun has to watch out.
And we've got a frozen camera.
No,
Oh,
just,
no.
just when things were looking exciting, maybe we zoom out. And what's happened there? Okay, so bishop takes pawn must have been played.
Yes, looks.
Yeah, it should end
Yeah.
in a draw.
This is what we're talking about. You have the major pieces, but it's impossible to push that pawn from e7 one more square. Plus, is he down a pawn? He's down a pawn anyway. So they've
Draw
repeated.
agreed.
Titanic draw.
Oof.